Namaskar, Chandra
Vikash.
Vikash ji. It's wonderful to have you here on the show.
Thank
You with all your experience about things, about life, as you have been. तो आप जरा शेयर करें अपने बारे में the way you know, the place you belong to, आप, how you grew up, if I may use that word, how you grew up, आपने कहाँ कहाँ आपने आप आप गए हुए हैं and you have walked through corridors, you have had your bit of grinding and grooming. So if you could share on that, and then about your hobbies, about your passions that keeps you alive, that sustains you, that makes life interesting for you, and your basic purpose and mission as to uh, the way you wish to look at things, about yourself, about people around you, about the country, about everything. तो ये जो है कि it's about you sharing your experiences from the day you took the first step onwards up to the point, up to the place where you are right now in. तो इस बारे में आप जरा बताएं. तो please, if you can come on that. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Kaustubh ji, for inviting me on the program. I grew up in a small town, Bokaro Steel City.
Right. Okay. Bokaro is, if you look at it, it was those days, it was part of, India's dream, because it was it's a steel city.
Yeah. One of the
I mean, the dream of modern India, when it was happening post independence, Bokaro and places around Bokaro, as far as Bhilai and this way in Durgapur, that was the belt. I mean, that's exactly what lifted India up. So you don't belong to a small city, though geographically, though territory-wise, it may be very small. Doesn't matter. But that place has contributed so hugely into how our country was made. That cannot be written off. That's part of history, which is very much there. So आप तो बहुत खुश नसीब हो. आप you grew up in Bokaro. Bokaro has a lot of stories. Please.
Yeah, that resonates so well with me. As in, I really take it as a privilege that though it was a small town, but it had big dreams, and it was almost like a wonderland. It had
was
square roads. It had the beautiful parks, the schools and health centers in every sector, and amongst other things, it had a drainage system, the storm water drainage, which had the gradient, and all the water would collect into a reservoir called two tank garden, and there was a water filtration plant next to it which would filter, and we would have regular water supply. Unfortunately, though we have a house there even now, this situation doesn't exist any longer. So
well, that is an unfortunate part. लेकिन आपने जो कहा, that you shared with me, it is amazing that during that point in time there was a stormwater drainage system which is actually not in place in most of the cities right now in India, and that it was there. So it really it speaks a lot about the vision, about the people who went about went about doing that town itself.
yes,
Can you imagine a stormwater drainage during those days? You are talking about, I mean, it's about the 60s.
6 feet deep drain. And in the rainy season, would fill up, labalab with, a clean water. Would actually do this,
Yes.
kagaz ki kashti or barish ka pani. So I've lived that experience.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, I would say. Wonderful. Please carry on. Please carry on. Yeah.
So yeah, so it was like a very dream childhood. A very pampered and a privileged one, and also because my parents also grew up, in later part of their life in that part of India. So my father studied in Ranchi. He did his psychology masters, and then he joined as lecturer, and later on he
If
joined.
I may interrupt, are you from Ranchi?
No, no, no. My father studied there because my uncle was posted in NTPC in Ranchi.
NTPC. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then he was in Patra
Okay.
too.
Please carry
And my mother was in Jamshedpur because my mama,
on.
he was in Tisco, Tata Steel.
Okay. Those days, yes.
So
Wonderful.
they were also, from like this urban background. So the whole dream of the family was to get the best education for the children,
Mm.
and to consciously, let them be free of any, kind of household chores. So I remember those days, even when we didn't have washing machines, early on, my mother used to take care of all the things from cooking to washing, and like only thing we had to do was to study, and that's how with this kind of foundation I set up, not just though later I did engineering from IIT Kharagpur in 1989.
When was that in IIT Kanpur?
IIT Kharagpur 89 to 93, 1980.
89 to 1993. 4 years, yes. No,
But you
why I'm asking you is, if you permit me, why I'm asking you is, I grew up in those days. It was Calcutta. Now it's Kolkata. So I grew up there, and many of my batchmates from school later on, they were there in IIT Kharagpur those days. So it used to be a 2.5 hours train from Kolkata to Kharagpur, and on every weekend while we were in college and they were there, so we used to go every weekend. We used to go, and most of them they were there. I mean, either in Nehru or in Patel or in RK in one of those houses, and we used to share and we used to have a
know,
lovely time.
yeah,
Especially the best thing was about the spring fest that used to happen
yeah,
during Saraswati Puja, during Vasant Panchami around that
right,
time.
right,
So
yeah,
I've got very fond memories.
okay.
I remember Ustad Amjad Ali Khan performing there,
Mm-hmm.
and Shiv Kumar Sharma.
Yeah.
Then I was into music. My Ustad Imran Khan and his son and all that, they used to perform early morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. They used to end
Oh,
the
wow,
show. It
wonderful.
used to be wonderful.
Do you
So very
also
fond memories.
happen?
But yes, wonderful. But yes, this was, I'll tell you, this was during the period 82 to 84, because most of my friends, my batchmates, they graduated by then,
Yeah.
84, 85, they were out.
Hmm.
And but yes, later on, I joined a company called HCL. It was in Infotech and HCL, and then most of the alumni of IIT Kharagpur were in the company, and we used to go for campus interviews. So it's I have very wonderful memories, and you've been to a wonderful place. Wonderful,
Wow.
please.
So, did you also happen to be there during the time of Deepavali? Because there was a very special way
Right,
to celebrate for
right, right,
illuminations.
right. You are
Okay.
right, right,
Yeah.
right,
So,
right.
in
It
fact,
used to be
one of
beautiful.
my dreams is to, now that we don't do much crackers during Deepavali, so, India should celebrate Deepavali like the illuminations at IIT Kharagpur, which was essentially that there were these bamboo mats, and on
Right.
that we would kind of fix diya, and that would be like a huge mural which would have themes picked up from, epics or some contemporary story. And then
True.
there would be in the common room a huge rangoli, and there would be music and very theatrical kind of experience as a panel of judges walked from, one hostel to another.
Yes.
And then so that
And
was
they
like,
decide.
a very
I remember this. It's a wonderful example. If this can be replicated across, nothing like it.
yeah.
It's a small little thing that used to happen there in one campus. If this can be taken up, forget about the country. If this can be taken up by all the campuses across the country,
Right.
that's where the nursery is. That's the nursery. I think that's where you are groomed to be a citizen. And if this can be taken up and carried on across all the campuses in the country, there can't be anything better than this.
What a
Spreading
wonderful idea. But if
wonderful, spreading light, spreading hope.
Zina is such a large platform. So
Ah,
if we are to, do this Deepavali, we will need to start the preparations in just about a month or 2 months time. So yeah,
yes,
fine. That's one part.
yes.
So even before I entered IIT Kharagpur, what set in
Ah,
life is
hmm.
that I'd like to mention that how, kind of everything in life is so divine,
Ah,
coincidence. So I started off Kaustubh from a Hindi medium school in one of the Bokaro Steel City,
right.
the
Okay.
big sector schools, and that set up my fondness for Hindi. So
Ah,
even though by fifth standard I moved to, along with the trend at those times to an English medium school, which was Holy Cross school, and then 11th and 12th I did from what is the top school in Bokaro at that time, St. Xavier School.
okay.
So, but those very primary school foundation that I had in
Ah,
Hindi, I can still write poetry in Hindi.
oh, wonderful, wonderful. So, uh, if that is one of your passion about writing a few lines, a verse, so why don't you recite a few lines? आप अगर
Yeah, so okay.
हाँ,
So interestingly, 5th of June was my wedding anniversary.
okay,
And I just wrote a poem. So maybe if you allow me, I can just.
please go ahead.
Okay, so these are the lines. So it's called धूप और छाँव.
Okay.
धूप और छाँव भरी इस जिंदगी की क्या खूब किरदार हो तुम. ऊंचे नीचे रास्ते हमारी मंजिल की हसीन सुपरस्टार हो तुम. धूप की तपिश से मीठी है तुम्हारी मद भरी मुस्कान. चांदनी की शीतल सुगंध लिए तुम्हारे सुर और मधुर तान. My wife is a singer, vocalist. So this,
Wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful,
शबनम भी
wonderful.
तुम हो, गुले गुलिस्तां भी तुम ही हो. जिंदगी के जंग की वीरांगना, शोले ओ गुल की अंगार भी तुम ही हो. इन बरसों में तुम्हें करीब से जाना, मिलो मील हम साथ चले, थके भी आंसू भी बहाए, पर अपनी चाह और आस कम न हुई. एक दूसरे को सहारा दिया, गले लगाए और फासले सिमटते गए.
Wow,
इस अनजान
beautiful,
राह की हम सफर तुम हो, कारवां भी तुम्ही से है, अफसाने भी तुम्हारे हैं, मंजिल भी तुम ही हो.
wonderful, wonderful. फासले मिटते गए कारवां भी तुम ही हो. Wonderful,
अफसाने भी
wonderful.
तुम्हारे हैं,
अफसाना
मंजिल
भी
भी तुम
तुम्हारे
ही हो.
हैं. Wonderful, wonderful,
So it's also a tribute
wonderful.
to
Do share this. Do share this
the
in the
gift
group.
that
Please
women
forward this to
have. in terms of.
I would love to save this. Wonderful.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. So it takes
And
a lifetime to really, understand the various shades and nuances of, uh, you know.
yes,
However,
I couldn't agree more with you. It's almost the same. I mean, I couldn't express myself in that manner that you have, but my feelings are no less than what you felt while penning those words. It's wonderful. You can't be anyone without your wife. There's something very interesting. I was working, and after that, my work was about it was a high pressure job, and carried on with it. Okay. I used to travel a lot, live out of a briefcase, and then when I used to come back home after a tour, after a travel and all that, I used to be exhausted, and I used to, at the slightest, I used to lose my cool. I mean, everything used to be there working on my mind. I used to lose my cool. And as it would have it, I used to take it out on my wife, whatever be it. So this senior friend of mine, is a very good friend of mine, who's no more, but he was senior to me. So one day he said, whatever you're doing, okay, fine. You are working hard, you're coming back home. Some way you are disturbed, whatever be the manner, justified, you're taking it out on your wife. Let me tell you, if in life, if you ever wish to be a flunky, matlab wo jaise, this is not the right word, um, but then he said, if you wish to be a flunky to your wife.
hmm,
That's about all.
wonderful. Yeah.
So I just kept quiet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And I
So,
said, okay,
yeah.
please, your story.
So
Yeah, please.
once, I was kind of, nudged to set my goals higher. So Hindi medium school, I come to Holy Cross, where it's a different ambience, and I
Yes.
get hooked to coming top in class. So that becomes my passion. So
Oh,
uh,
wonderful. Yeah.
good at
I mean,
sports.
that was something that really provoked you in a way, if I may use the word,
Yeah,
something that pushed you, provoked you to, come out
yeah,
and beat the system, sort of.
yes.
Yes.
And yet, while I retained my love for Hindi, but I also kind of grew rebellious with, the very kind of jaded notions of becoming an engineer or a doctor. So,
Ah,
for example, there was this thing in class 8 where everyone was asked, like, what do you want to be
yes.
in life? And I said, I want to be a sweeper. and and I kind of claim that the government picked up the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan from that song. And now
It's
it says that India needs sweeper stars and avant gardeners.
we need you have how wonderfully you have put it across. Just about right. We need today, if you ask me, today I'm based at Guwahati in Assam. Okay.
Okay, wow, wonderful. Okay.
And what I do is I have left my past behind, but right now what I do is I curate and conduct tours for people by reference, just by reference. I mean, because this is my love, my passion. I do it. I want people to come, meet me up. I take them around, let them know the place. Not a touristy thing. I take them around villages, I take them around places, and I let them know about the history, the culture of the place, the environment as you get to see. So I take them around. So I share the stories and I see them off. That is what I do in a very small way. Okay. But by reference, as I said. Now, as I move around and go across, you won't believe our people, अपनी जगह, अपनी जमीन, अपना घर. But you won't imagine the litter and the trash
Oh,
that
yes.
they throw out.
Terrible. Terrible. What a
It's
shame.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, coming to what you have said,
Yeah.
we actually need a team of sweepers. In fact, I would go to that extent of saying that we need a cabinet minister looking after sweeping and
Right.
cleaning.
Yeah.
I would say we need a ministry of, sweeper,
Yeah.
sweeping,
Now it's a
sweepers.
super stars.
Yes,
Yeah.
sweeping stars, we need that. And
Yes.
as you said, we need, after the sweeping is done, we need a team of good malis, gardeners. We need
Oh,
all
yes.
across.
Avant gardeners is what I
Yes,
call
we
it.
need gardeners.
Yeah.
These are the
We
two
need very
things, very
innovative,
basic.
creative gardeners. We need landscaping. We need greenscaping on our buildings.
Yes,
We need every terrace, every small plot to be farm, growing
absolutely,
micronutrients,
absolutely.
colorful flowers.
Every today,
I mean, that's what
if you
truly
look at
makes
the
a city
metros,
or a habitat beautiful.
absolutely. Today, if you look at the metros where, all these apartments coming up, blocks coming up, okay, fine. Why can't we have a rule that each and every balcony must have so many number of pots with plants? Compulsive.
Yeah.
Why can't we? It gives you a better look,
Yes.
and it also cleans the air around you, around
Yeah.
your home.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
these are small little things that we can introduce, we can
Plus,
inculcate.
it creates ambient cooling. It increases
Yes,
the
yes,
it enriches the oxygen level.
yes.
And,
It,
and
it,
so,
it
so now I have taken this passion to a few
uh,
levels higher,
uh,
where I say that, why do we need so many idly parked cars when we have app-based, service? Why can't we further enhance the app-based services? Whatever bugs and issues they have
right,
about bike
right,
being or
right.
not being available at all the times. Let us add
Yes,
those and let us get rid of privately owned vehicles, just as we have moved from independent houses to apartment societies, which is like housing as a service, or let's say gated communities in many areas, even with low rises. So the idea is that let us harmonize our habitat, let us detox our terrain so that we can be healthy, so that we have more time and we have less pressure on our time to devote more time to arts and literature and music and dance.
it's
And
about it's about it's about adding value. It's about how you add value to your
and
life.
that's what the defined
It's all about
purpose
that.
of the whole idea of development was, to provide more leisure time. But
Absolutely.
we have
It's all
completely
about that.
forgotten.
How you make it productive. You have 24 hours to yourself. And out of that 24 hours, how much you devote to, let's say, to leisure. Now, leisure is not about watching a film. Leisure is not about having two drinks. Leisure is more about, how you divert and you bring in these things that would enrich your life, your people around, your neighborhood, your family, your
Yeah,
neighborhood.
I would
How can it
even
be
make a
enriched?
stark
These are
contrast.
small things.
Uh, uh, Kaustubh, I'd make a stark contrast to what is leisure.
Ah,
Leisure is not slavery. you know
no,
Not at leisure. Leisure doesn't mean unproductive.
no,
I'm playing guitar, or I'm singing,
absolutely.
or I'm gardening. I mean, that's
Ah,
leisure. Because
absolutely.
yeah, so actually the whole notion, interestingly, of ashram, which is beyond labor.
It is. It is.
So there's no notion of wage based labor It was
Correct.
that even if a potter is on the wheel, the wheel
Right.
is, their kind of musical instrument. He's just singing, crooning away to glory.
Right.
Even a cobbler, or even so, the whole life was so well organized and so well oriented. The kind of food they eat, the kind of housing they live in. So, yeah, that's another part. I'll come to it later. So on that journey that I was mentioning, so what happened is that I was nudged to do well in academics. So that also made me, pretty kind of comfortable that I could now explore whatever else interested me or whatever else I thought was
Absolutely.
important enough.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Now,
yeah.
well, you have been very candid and you have made yourself very clear. I'm really enjoying this conversation, and lovely it is. So, if we were to move forward, so we talked about your as you grew up, about Bokaro and about your school, about the places you went to, about IIT, and later on what you have in mind and what you love to be engaged with, and your poetry, of course. So now, let's say looking at things the way it has been. See, we are all, in a way, whether you like it or not, um, we are always affected by, let's say, by politics, by elections, by government, by things that are happening. So, what's your take on that? I mean, now that we have just about had an election, the results are out, and a government would be formed any day ahead. And what is your thought and your feel, keeping in tune with what you actually believe in tune with your ideas, with your passion that you have, with your love that you have towards things, towards your place, towards your environment? How would you like to expand on that?
Yeah. So, regarding the election results, as a political observer and with my ears to the ground, can you believe that the number of seats that BJP got? I had predicted, with 100% accuracy,
Sorry,
near back. I had
you had
predicted
predicted how much?
we would get around 240 seats about a month back.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
Oh, you have you
though,
you almost hit the bullseye.
yeah, though I hit the bullseye, but
Uh,
I was off and on like UP. None of my sources told me that Akhilesh would get more than 20 seats or Akhilesh and Congress together.
okay.
It was almost taken for granted by even Congress party kind of analysts as, who told me that there is no way we are looking at more than 20 seats. So that addition 20 less was
Ah,
compensated by where, for example, I was expecting Tejaswi Yadav to get few more, and certainly not the kind of route that Biju Janata Dal had in Odisha, because
ah,
we have a family venture of a biofuel plant in Odisha,
ah,
so I keep traveling there.
ah,
So though there were concerns about his, health and his availability and the lack of
okay.
succession, but it would go to such a swing. Though the vote share has not changed that much, but because it was a more of a direct contest. So that way, coming to that, not only I could accurately predict, I'm also very glad at what I call as the pluralistic diversity being reflected in the election results.
True.
By
True.
most yardsticks of the polity around the world today, India is a miracle. We living in India are also critical of many of its aspects, but on the whole, I think India is a miracle, and the election results reflect that. Kind of, for example, the people of Ayodhya not getting swayed by all the hype and glamour that was dawning on this small
I
place.
would say to Button,
Yeah,
I would say India is a miracle. Otherwise, look at, as you mentioned, Ayodhya. Look at how it happened. In spite of all that went in, all that went in into the temple inauguration and all that event, pre, post, whatever, the people just decided the way they should decide, and that was it. It was a very loud and clear message they had sent, and that's why I never cease to be amused in a way about how the country behaves when it comes to reacting. It's this election was in a way an eye opener that you can't take things for granted for
absolutely,
a people. You can't.
absolutely.
You have to take in board. You have to take in board, because I remember last time around. Now again we are going to have a coalition. I mean, the way it's appearing out to be. So we are going to have a coalition, right?
Uh, yeah, I'll come to that. Yeah,
Huh,
okay.
huh, huh. So what I was trying to
But
say
I
is,
call it
earlier
that.
on we had one during Atalji's time.
I don't
So
call
that
it
was a kind of
coalition.
coalition that India needs.
No, I call it the return of collaborative federalism,
It
something that
is.
the Modi regime preached but they
It
could
is.
not practice. In fact, they betrayed both
Right. Right
voter
you
and
are.
spirit
Right
by
you are.
stealing states' funds. See, let's not
Right.
forget that ultimately it is states which have to deliver, you know, the welfare of people at the ground level.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. So that has kind of, there is a far better balance between center state now. So the federalist structure is further strengthened with the kind of election results that has come up. Number one. Number two is that, as for example, just before this session, and the reason why I got a little delayed to join in for this meeting is that I had a meeting at India Habitat Center with a good friend whose father was a home minister, union home minister in Indira Gandhi's regime, Shri Om Mehta. And we had a very heart to heart talk, and in that it turns out that uh, the proposal that I have put up for civic society led world government, there is far better receptivity, because I've been at it for several years. But with the kind of election results that have come up, we are in a very good position to drive it, to channelize it towards a national government, so that we end the political rivalry within the country, and channelize our energies to make India as a host for a new world order. So just like United Nations was hosted by United States of America, and as we know of the history of the past about 70 odd years, but now we are about to turn a new chapter in the global history, in the world history. And in that, I'd like to subsequently mention that the election results are in that way very favorable for what we are calling as repurposing Viksit Bharat and Vishwabandhu Bharat in the larger frame of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. So this is a letter that I wrote to the Honorable External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jay Shankar. And this has been, so we are planning to do a press conference with key people, including, as we have already interacted with, the former Foreign Secretary Shri Shyam Saran, who's also
Yes.
presently the President of India International Center. Then recently, I met with Ambassador Manjeev Puri, who's been
Ah,
ambassador to several countries, including Nepal. Then we have Lieutenant General Arun Sahni, who's a veteran, a very highly decorated army general.
uh-huh. Yes.
Who is also the Director General of Club of Rome in India.
Okay. Okay.
So all put together, my response to your question that how do I view the election results is that I think the best has happened. I mean, I couldn't look for anything better than this.
Yes, what you are saying is absolutely correct. The way you're looking at it, I couldn't agree more. The best has happened. Now it calls for, as the phrase that you have used, collaborative federalism, right? So it is about federalism. It is about how you collaborate and how you take it. It's not about those narrow political gains that one is looking at. It's not about that. It is about transcending that whole thing and moving ahead and reinventing. It is about reinventing yourself. And this is the word. I mean, you have used a wonderful word of collaborative federalism. It is about that. How we, in spite of all our diversities, how we channelize and bring everything together and move forward and be an example to the world. I mean, this is not something which is undoable. It can be done. And absolutely, it can
Yeah,
be done. We have the resources, we have the people, we have like-minded people with good intentions, and we have the resources. I mean, we have people like you, and it nothing better could ever happen. It
yeah,
is only the intent. Now, if the intent is shown by the people who are going to assume power ahead, that is the best thing we can aspire to. That is the best thing we can do. So what is needed right now is forget about whatever has happened. Let's not look back over our shoulders. Let's get
well, Kaustubh, I'd just like to, sorry to interrupt, just say two
please.
insights on what you
Ah,
said part.
ah,
Before we miss the beat. Number one is that in my political view, in my political philosophy, I've never believed that the power is with the politicians. I think the power, perpetually remains with the people. Number one, the politicians are custodians of power only as long as they use it gainfully for everyone's benefit. The moment they start abusing that power, people who are the true sovereign, they have every right to take back, irrespective of whether there is a right to recall or not. So I have always, in at least last 15 years, played a very, key vigilant, being in Delhi, being close to the power corridors, through my, communication skills, through my commitment to walk the talk. So people in the thick of things in Delhi are well aware that this is a guy who is not interested in anything other than truth and honesty and walking the talk because he really enjoys it. So that's one part. uh, the
fine.
second
Yeah.
thing, very importantly, the key insight that emerges, and I'd like to put it in a kind of lyrical way, that in times of plenty people fight. Yes, please. I repeat, in times of plenty people fight. When it
Yes.
comes to scarcity, people unite. Very unfortunate, but that's what
Unfortunate.
the
Yes.
empirical evidence
But
invariably,
that's right. Yeah.
whether it is about people in a community or whether it is countries within the global community. So we are reached the stage where we have a scarcity of everything, including livable, planet. The temperatures are rising. We are heating into more of weather turbulence and flash floods, coastal areas getting inundated, forest fires. So oceans getting so polluted, oceans boiling. So all this put together, for example, the sweeper starts we need is not just for the streets and the houses, but also for the oceans, for the rivers, for the
Yes.
air.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so in that way, this is just the right time. And I think this conversation we are happening has historic proportions, in a way that there is a time window that we have of about next couple of months, in which if India can successfully host a new world government and make this declaration. So I shared another note to Rajiv Bhai on how India won a historic World Cup victory on 25th of June 1983, uh, about 41 years back. So I've chosen that day of 25th of June for the announcement of a provisional interim world government led by civic society. So because the scarcity is being felt, interestingly, not so much by people in India, at least not the kind of the privileged class, because India has so much of plenty that we are not still feeling
Right.
the pinch. But people in colder climate, people in different regions or maybe much hotter climate, they are already feeling the pinch. And the voices that are arising from all over the world will propel. If India takes the lead, it will
Yes.
propel, and it will overcome whatever lethargy, whatever inertia, whatever bureaucratic challenges that we may be daunted with in the coming months. So that is something I'd like to share, that this election result is in that way, remarkable. I mean, it's a really a watershed event in the
Yes, it is.
history of
Wonderful,
India
wonderful.
as well as history of world, because India being the most populous country with almost 1/6 of the world population, and being the cradle of the human civilization.
Wonderful. I mean, the way you have articulated and you have placed things, it's wonderful. The way your vision is, your dream is, the way you would like to, create and carry things forward. It's been wonderful. And I was actually, in a way, I was actually, uh, I mean, these are in bits and pieces. These are some of the ideas and dreams that it hits me at times. But the way you have put everything together and articulated and placed it, it's been wonderful. So it was a lovely conversation, the one I thoroughly enjoyed. I wouldn't be knowing how it was for you to interact with me, but for me, it has been lovely. And I thank everyone,
Wow,
Rajiv,
it's such a pleasure. It's
especially
such a pleasure.
as so
And I
so
look
as
forward
well
to
as mine.
seeing Guwahati with a very reliable guide that I already know of.
So it's been wonderful, and I would thank Rajiv for putting this up. We will have much more ahead, and please be in touch, enlighten us, and keep posting on the group, and do share your stories. I We would love to, and I would personally love to interact with you, and I'll connect and from the group. And my request is, I don't know whether you've been to this part of the country, but someday feel free, call me up. I'm a phone call away. Simply call me up, come over. I'll show you around places, and for you to refresh a corner of the country that people are people from the mainland are not yet used to knowing about it. So please do come. That's my invitation to you and to, of course, to the group at large. So thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you.
Rajiv.
I'll just share
We
a small tidbit from my school days.
ah
So uh, uh, I was so much interested, passionate about general knowledge that there would be these quiz competitions.
okay.
Now,
Ah
in one of those, what happened is that one of my friend just sitting next to me, he
ah.
happened to copy, ditto, and I didn't realize that he even copied some of the mistakes. So then,
Okay.
it turned out that maybe I was, helping him cheat.
Ah.
So the principal called my father to complaining that I have helped him cheat because even the mistakes were copied. So, yeah.
Uh,
So
these
our
small
message that I
things.
like to leave for everyone young and old is that
Yeah.
general knowledge is something that really holds you in good stead.
Oh, yes.
You should
Absolutely.
go beyond our domains, our
Absolutely. Absolutely.
specialization,
General
and
knowledge, absolutely. Over and above your subjects, over and above things. General knowledge is something that sets you apart. It should be there, and that is
yeah,
the one which actually
and like you
enriches.
say, sa vidya ya vimukta, so not only sets you apart but also liberates.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So wonderful then. So we catch up and we connect and we move on ahead, and it's been wonderful. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.